So hello fellow Earthlings, this is Earthling 6455463728, and I have to say, I'm sorry Whitney Cummings, comedian, but Femininity is distracting. Whitney Cummings, she had this lady on from, I think, a documentary called Cheer, meaning I think it's about cheerleaders, and she said that she had looked at it and she was so moved by everything that she saw on the documentary. It kind of seemed like if it was more than just a documentary, like if it was a series, but I don't know anything about it, didn't look it up. But anyway, during the podcast, where she was talking to the person who was the coach, I believe, she was saying that when she was younger and she was getting into comedy, she thought that femininity was distracting, and she tried to dress down so that, I guess, it wouldn't take away from her comedy. And by looking at the coach, she saw that she could be somebody in a leadership role, somebody in a prominent role, and still retain her femininity, and it wasn't a problem. And I'm here to say that no, it is a problem, and the reason why it is a problem is because it was designed to be a problem. It was designed, modern femininity and the way that we have our society ordered was designed for that sort of thing to be a distraction. Most women don't look the way they look because that's how God made them. They look the way they look because they spend a considerable amount of time and effort trying to be attractive. They spend a lot of money on hair, spend a lot of money on makeup, they spend a lot of time putting on that makeup, they spend a lot of money on clothing that is designed to be, and shoes that's designed to be attractive, to hold the attention of people. And we can't pretend as if this is who I am. You know, I was born this way, and you can't fault me, and you know, it's men's problems if all of this effort that I put into becoming attractive, if it works and it's distracting, well, that's men's problem. It's not my problem. And I have to think of a couple of examples that might, beyond the obvious, that might show that you can't really say that. No, all right. We are not the type of species where you know when a woman is in estrus, she's in heat, when she's ovulating, when she is best able to conceive a child. We're not that species. But in chimpanzees, for example, I think, or some chimpanzees and some animals, you can see like the gluteus area of the chimpanzees, it becomes engorged, it becomes a particular color, which is to signal to males that, hey, this particular female, well, the signal to males is that, hey, mate with her, you know. But the real biological implications are, if you have intercourse with this particular female, she is going to have a kid. This is the time to do it. And in many other animals, there are associated smells and other appearance changes that would suggest, hey, this is the time to mate with this particular female. Hormonally, she will be more receptive, and actually, she might only be receptive in this time because you can see, hey, she's ready to mate. If a chimpanzee female, let's say for example, they developed a society, and a chimpanzee female, they didn't wear clothes anymore, and yeah, clothes is one that I'd forgotten, but let's just go down with the chimpanzees for a minute. If a female chimpanzee decided that she was going to wear a fake or prosthetic butt that would attract males all day, every day, all the time, that wouldn't make sense. That wouldn't be fair. The chimpanzees couldn't collectively say, well, that's men's problems, because no, you are doing something that is biologically, for chimpanzees, designed to attract and cause men to be attracted. Now, I just want to cross things for a second and go back to human beings just for 1 second, and simply to say this. Number one, and before I'll just go straight back to chimpanzees. At the end of the day, the problems that our modern, for the most part, English-speaking society has with respect to females being attractive and attracting males and all this other stuff, it's really because of this Victorian era idea of a man and a woman and monogamy and all of this stuff. Okay, that kind of pressure to not be promiscuous and satisfy yourself, that's what created this situation that we find ourselves in. Among Native Americans, a woman could do whatever she felt like. She was not the property, and of course this varies from tribe to tribe, but in many Native peoples, a woman was not anybody's property. She was not supposed to, subjugate herself. She could decide if she wanted to divorce a man and go and live by herself. Society wouldn't frown on it. Society would not frown on her having multiple relationships with multiple people. And if you look at the implications of that, it means that in certain societies, like in Arabic societies, which have gone the extreme, a woman wear burqas and all this other stuff, things are to such an extreme that you have honor killings. Because women are not behaving as good property, a brother can feel the need to kill his sister if she's acting in a way that dishonors the family. Which, if you weren't suppressing women and having women act or be property and buying and selling women in a way with dowries and all of this other stuff, you wouldn't have this whole idea of women being distracting. Because if a woman and a guy wanted to have sex with each other, they go have sex with each other, and there is no suppression of people's desires. This whole idea of monogamy that more than likely does not really exist. It's not a thing. So there is not as much need to say, okay, well, a woman can't be this and she can't be that and she can't be whatever, because there are men here primarily, and they would be distracted by this woman. No, it wouldn't be like that, because a woman would be in most places and in most activities, to the extent that, okay, there's a woman, I would like to have sex with her, she would like to have sex with me, we have sex, tension is gone, nobody's distracted anymore. or we can flirt, we can do whatever, and she is not under threat of being killed, and I am not under threat of, I don't know, dishonor, because men are not being killed even in those Islamic countries. You know, for adultery, a woman is going to get stoned to death. Even in the Bible, I don't recall too many men getting stoned to death. It's always about women and what they're doing wrong, and the whole idea of Adam and Eve and the apple and all of this other thing to suppress women. The idea is that if our society was not as repressive as it is, then women can really be as attractive as they want to be, because men would not be as jacked up and horny as they are, because they'd be more satisfied per se, and women would be everywhere, and you know. However, in the modern sexually repressive society that we live in, Western, the Western society, where it is more acceptable to show murder after murder after murder than it is to show two people being intimate. That's unfortunately, two people being intimate is taboo, whereas murder is not taboo. And to ignore that and to say, well, yeah, society encourages women to present themselves in such a way with, you know, colored lips, red lipstick, which is not natural. Reddened lips are a sign that a female is actually sexually aroused. So from that perspective, it's like we are walking around constantly seeing sexually aroused females. And beyond that, we can see more of women's bodies than we see of men's bodies, which is somewhat unfair, I would imagine, because just as my personal example, I once lived with a gay roommate, and he once made the comment that, hey, there's a gay people around here, you can't be walking around in boxers and whatever else. And he was joking, but he probably wasn't exactly joking, meaning that maybe he was attracted to the person who was walking around in boxers, which would have been me. So here it is. On any given street, we can see, as a man, we can see women's figures because their clothes are tighter than men's. If a straight guy was walking around in tight clothes, his straight friends would say, hey, are you gay? Because that is stereotypically something that someone who might be gay might be doing, because they're interested in attracting other guys. So they might walk around in tight clothes. Not every gay person does this, but this is the stereotype. So obviously, walking around in tighter clothes or more revealing clothes is going to attract attention to your body, which I presume is part of the reason why, even like in Papua New Guinea or something, or just whoever, we see men have loincloths. That was, I presume, a design to say like, hey, let's not think about sex every single second of the day, because, you know, men and women wear loincloths. And in a whole nother tangent, yeah, that's why men and women only wore loincloths in a lot of different places, because, you know, you're hiding the genitalia. Women can still be as bare-breasted or bare-chested as men can be, because if you're in a warm climate, you're not going to wear a bunch of clothes to make you hot, so that now you need to invent an AC to make you cooler, when you could just take off all the excess clothes except for the loincloths. Anyway, back to my point. My point is that modern Western femininity, not even just the appearance, the way that women might speak, the way that, you know, women might pretend to need more help or be helpless, or actually instill that in their own brains that no, I can't do this, I need a guy. All of these things, they are not natural. They're not natural. They're designed to be, okay, I am a woman in this society. I'm prevented from owning property. I'm prevented from, inheriting land from my father. I'm prevented from taking certain positions. My recourse is that to get the most powerful mate that I can. And in order to do that, I shall attract this man by my mannerisms, by the way that I dress, by red lipstick that makes me seem perpetually sexually aroused, by showing parts of my body that may, more than a man. Women would be distracted just as much as men would be if men went out and were doing this stuff. Now, I understand that women are not in a position in many instances to control society. Men control society. And I understand that in many ways men are not able to change society if they wanted to say, okay, I am going to be a feminine, a guy that can show his femininity. I'm going to cry. I'm going to, wear clothes however I feel like it, and nobody's going to talk to me. No, individual men and individual women, we cannot change society we kind of have to live in society the way that it is. And it's not fair. It is not fair that, especially for younger people. I remember my sister was going to church one time, and somebody told her she needed to cover up and wear a shawl over her sleeveless thing that she had on because it would distract the priest. And my sister looked around and she saw that there was this older people in similar armless stuff. Yeah, her body was more attractive than these older females, and it's not fair because it was designed, unfortunately in this case evolutionary, for her to be more attractive, and for people who are no longer able to have kids to be less attractive, so that people wouldn't waste resources attempting to impregnate people who can no longer bear kids, or to whom it's a more risky situation to bear kids. So the time when you're more fertile, you're going to look more attractive, and now you need to be covered up. And that's unfortunate, and it's sad, and it's not fair, but that's what we're living with. I feel like I have somehow ignored other points that I had in my head, but my point is that, Whitney, no, if you want to go farther in the existing world, yeah, we all want to change the world and make it a better place. But if you want to go further in the existing repressive Western society that we do live in, where you can show a TV show or a movie where people are horribly hurt and killed and whatever, but you can't show anything intimate. If we're going to live in that world, then no, it's not okay to dress like Madonna and expect to be Angela Merkel and lead Germany, or to dress like, I don't know, Britney Spears and expect that you can be Margaret Thatcher and rule the UK or any other country. If you're going to be feminine, which is designed to distract and to attract the best male, that is not going to be, it's not going to make sense, because people are just going to be attracted to you, the things that you've done to make yourself attractive, and it's totally going to blow aside anything else that might seem important, even long hair. That anything that is distinctively female is going to make people attracted to your femininity and less to what it is, the message that you're trying to bring across. And it's not fair, but that is the world that we live in. Anyway, guys, on a less thing note, you can like, share, subscribe, or do any of those things that you'd like other people to do if this were your piece. Thanks. Peace.